This massive bovine hoof conceals a complex and severe white line disease. In fact, judging by the way the cow is standing, the inner claw has already developed a crack. So without further ado, the cow is secured and today's trimming begins. To prevent any hidden metal under the loosened tissue, a scraper is first used for an initial cleaning of the hoof surface. Compared to the seemingly unaffected outer claw, the swollen inner claw at the heel area is much more noticeable. Based on experience, the hoof trimmer deduces that a severe ulcer must have developed inside the hoof and carefully formulates a trimming plan. Next, the grinder is used to smooth the hoof surface. As expected, the outer claw is perfectly healthy, whereas the inner claw's condition is worsening. Even after grinding off a thick layer of keratin, multiple black holes are revealed. The overall hoof size is then adjusted accordingly. Upon closer inspection, a red bruise appears near the coronet band, accompanied by a white lesion nearby. At this point, the trimmer believes the disease has reached the dermis. Since the keratin layer is still quite thick and the affected area is near the coronet, using a scraper at this stage would be too difficult. Thus, a second round of grinding is performed. Once grinding is complete, it's time for the scraper to come into play. As expected, trimming the keratin layer after grinding is much easier. With each precise cut, the hidden infected pathways become increasingly apparent. Two black spots indicate that the overall condition is quite severe. With a single cut, a long accumulated purulent discharge oozes out. The scraper is then guided around the coronet, revealing a massive black cavity. Through the camera, the depth of this hole is immeasurable. A gentle press with a finger causes stored cow fat to flow downward along the coronet. Zooming in, the thick consistency of the fat is clearly visible, even attracting a pesky mosquito drawn in by the strong scent. Even for an experienced trimmer, such a massive cavity is rarely seen. It's hard to imagine how the cow endured this condition before treatment. The cavity is then thoroughly rinsed with disinfectant. While it was expected that the hoof contained pathogens, the severity of the infection is still shocking. Now, with the exposed infection site, the only option is to remove the surrounding keratin with a scraper. Interestingly, the cow seems to recognize that the trimmer is trying to help, as it remains completely still throughout the process. As a large section of keratin is removed, the infected dermis becomes more visible. However, for a cow, the heel area bears most of the body's weight. During daily movement, the hoof bottom undergoes constant pressure and friction against the ground. Thanks to the trimmer's efforts, the full extent of the lesion is now visible. Considering future recovery, a heightening pad must be installed on the left claw to relieve pressure. Installing it in advance saves time. Afterward, the wound is deeply cleaned with disinfectant. The infected dermis has turned from dark red to blue-green. In hindsight, the cracked hoof should have been an early warning of this severe outcome. After another rinse with clean water, a cloth is used to wipe off any residual moisture. Water-cooling acid powder is then applied to the lesion, and the hoof is wrapped with gauze. Finally, the hoof is lowered and the results are assessed. Overall, aside from a slight unsteady gait, the cow appears to be recovering well, with no other abnormalities observed.